Windrose, formerly known as Croswinds, is the pirate experience, and I would even go so far to call it the Assassin's Creed Black Flag 2 we never got. Yes, everyone hoped that Skull and Bones could become, well, what Assassin's Creed Black Flag was, but just better and bigger, and, well, we got Skull and Bones. But thankfully, an indie team has sailed out to make their own pirate experience, which is very close to what you're looking for. And I will be honest, I didn't really heard about this game. It just popped up on my Steam list and it looked really interesting. And I was like, man, this looks like actually the Black Flag experience I was been looking for. So let's check it out. So I downloaded the 3 to 4 hour long demo and I spent over 15 hours in the game, which, with the amount of content in the game, is quite something. Because, yes, the demo is about 5 to 6 hours long if you're taking your time, but there is still quite a bit to do. And I just stretched it out, and I cannot wait for the early access version. But what is this game? Well, this game starts you out with the typical survival experience, or, well, survival is not really the word I would be using for. Yes, you need food, but the food very much just functions as a buff food. You don't need food to survive. You're not dying if you're not eating. There is no drinking in the game at all. And the whole survival experience is just falling super flat, which I'm completely okay with, right? It's more like a Valheim experience. So if you are looking for this gritty survival where you have to ration your food, your water, your equipment, that's not here in the game. But what is in the game is farming a lot of resources like wood, stone, copper, and all the other things which are there you need to then upgrade your base, upgrade your character, and then, of course, upgrade your ship. And when you have built like your first house, which goes very easy, I like the building mode. I didn't really have like a lot of problems with it. It's pretty basic, but it does exactly what you would expect. So I'm pretty cool with the building, and as you can see, I tried a lot here and utilized what I had to make it actually my little pirate hamlet. But as I said at the beginning, you will focus on upgrading your equipment. And upgrading you shall, because, man, this game is not holding back. It will throw a lot of enemies at you, like the boars, right at the get go, which can one shot you. If you are not quick enough with the parry, you don't have any food in, you're dead when they're hitting you, and you need them very early on because, well, you need the leather. So, yeah, the game is not getting easier. They even call it a Souls light experience, and I would agree with it. You can die very quickly, even later on, if you are putting yourself in a bad position and you're surrounded by enemies. Because you cannot block that many attacks, you don't have the health sometimes, and then you're in trouble. Speaking about upgrading your equipment, there's tons of different equipment in the game, and there's set pieces for your equipment there. The weapons also have all like different perks and passives when you upgrade them. Like right now, I'm running around with a rapier, and that rapier is pretty powerful. It builds up a bleeding debuff on the enemy, which then, when the enemy dies, because this is the epic version I have, is transferring to the closest enemy nearby at full strength, which is really, really powerful. Downside? Well, the rapier is only really good against single targets. If you have to fight against multiple enemies, the rapier is just absolutely falling short and will feel miserable, and you might want to use the halberd, which is slow but has a huge swing and can devastate a lot of enemies very quickly. So you want to switch around the different weapon types when you need to and make the best out of it. And yes, there are also range weapons. You can get pistols, muskets, at least in the demo, those are the two weapon types I have found. And they're really cool because they're trying to be a little bit more realistic. So if you are firing your weapon, you are not immediately shooting. You are basically creating the explosion with the black powder, right? And that will then catapult the ball forward. And that takes like a second, which is really cool. Feels awesome. Unfortunately, there is no way of creating black powder right now in the demo. So your shooting experience, at least with the guns you have at you, is very limited. The good news is your boat later on does not need black powder at all. And so that at least works. But yeah, if you were looking for being just a marksman the whole time in the demo, that doesn't work because, well, you can craft the bullets, you can craft the black powder, and you have to find it, which is really unfortunate. I don't know why that isn't in, but that's how it is right now. But yeah, the game feels great. They are lead enemies there. They are like really strong enemies you can find. Unfortunately, no bosses, which is apparently something which is coming later, but not in the demo. And so let's talk about the most important aspect, the boat. At the beginning, you are getting a boat very quickly. Well, it's more like a nutshell. It's a rowing boat with a sail on top of it. And then, when you have freed all the crew members and you have repaired one of the old boats you found at the beach, you are finally getting your first boat. Downside, this boat has nothing, no upgrades, and more importantly, no cannons. So you want to craft that, right? You want to upgrade them, and then you can go out there and do the hunting. And there are different levels of enemies, different boat types, and the demo not too much, right? It's all very limited where you can go and what type of enemies you are fighting. But it works very much like Black Flag, right? It's very arcadey. The whole controls are very arcadey. The shooting is very arcadey. And then, of course, at the end, if you have slowed them down and damaged them enough, you will actually board the boats, or you would just sink them. But let's be honest here, who wants to do that? Because you are not getting all the loot then. So you're starting the boarding experience. It's very rudimentary right now. Like, literally, you are just getting close to the enemy, start the boarding, and then you jump over. It's not like Assassin's Creed where you have like this whole experience with swinging over with a rope and dropping from the top or something like that. It's pretty straightforward. Then you have to kill a certain amount of enemies, and then you have bought the ship. Then you go back to your ship, and then you can loot everything which is on there. And this is unfortunately where the demo ends, but it becomes clear when you are looking at the loot you are getting that there is a main city called Tortuga, and Tortuga is like the last free city in the area, and you can go there to sell your items, to upgrade your boat more, you to get more stuff. You will also have different factions you can increase your standing with, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of Assassin's Creed Black Flag in this game. Unfortunately, not so much in the demo because, again, the scope is relatively limited. But as I said, this is a 4-hour long demo, and I put 15 hours into it. It feels freaking amazing. And it already also feels very polished. Yeah, sure, the performance could be a little bit better here and there, but it has been mostly 60 for me on very high settings in 4040p on a 3080 and a 5800X 3D. So yeah, I could have lowered the settings, and I was also streaming at the same time over the same GPU. So, complaining on a high level. I never really found any bugs as far as I can remember. I didn't have any crashes, any glitches. So yeah, like this felt more polished than a lot of games coming out in 1.0 nowadays, and I am just super happy about that. So if you are looking for a demo you definitely want to check out now with the Steam Next Fest, Windrose should be on your map because it finally gives you the pirate experience we have been looking for since Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and nobody could really deliver on, and they do. So give it a chance, and I cannot wait for the early access version. Thank you so much for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, And also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more Windrose and other survival games and also RPGs, you came to the right place, and you might want to consider to subscribe. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.